Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining me for Let's Chat. My name is Shayla Reeves, and today we're going to be talking about crafting a healthier you. I have two amazing women who are going to join me today for this very important conversation. At this time, I'm going to play a quick intro to give folks another minute and a half or so to join us, and then we'll go ahead and launch into the conversation from there. All right.
I always like to create an environment where people feel comfortable to ask questions. You don't always know what you don't know. You may not have it all figured out today, and that's okay. Taking one step at a time, those glimmers become a consistent light. It all finally begins to click. Each and every moment that you experience is shaping the person you are in this life to be.
Sometimes our pain points go all the way back to childhood.
What if I allowed myself to imagine a life that was more spacious and expansive than the one I'm living?
What if I don't have to live the same way that everyone else is living?
When you are authentic, your energy changes and the people around you change. It's just like doors just start opening. You're like, well, wait, how did this happen? How did this happen? How did this happen? You're showing up completely different.
And often it does require healing and going in some uncomfortable spaces before we can truly flourish.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining me for Let's Chat. My name is Shayla Reeves, and today we're going to be joined by two dynamic women to have a conversation about what it takes to craft a healthier you. Sometimes it can be a journey that feels daunting. It seems as simple as saying, hey, I'm going to make a lifestyle change, but sometimes that's easier said than done. A lot of choices down the line and a lot of changes you have to make. But it all starts really with making that decision and then hopefully connecting with some of the resources to help you succeed and win along your journey. So today we're going to be joined by, I'll show you right here, we're going to have Dawn Bryant, a believer in people, wellness crusader, communications consultant, and Shay Sandifer, the founder of the New Minneapolis and wellness guru. I'll go ahead and bring both ladies up at this time. Shay, thank you so much for joining me today. And
Hi.
Dawn, hi. And Dawn, thank you for joining me today as well. So, Shay, I'll go ahead and start with you. I know you have helped so many women over the years, just starting the journey of the process of losing weight. It can feel overwhelming, but you've helped so many women get going, get started. Can you talk a little bit about your background, your experience, your expertise, and how it feels to really see your clients win?
Yes. Hi. Well, thank you for having me. I love it that I'm here. Thank you so much.
Yes.
So my journey started with myself, losing weight myself during bad time in my life, and doing it the right way through fitness and nutrition and wellness. So I wanted to implement that in the community and teach others. And I did start focusing primarily on Black women and teaching them how to heal from the inside out.
Wonderful. And we'll talk a little bit more about that too in a moment. And Dawn, I know you have an incredible weight loss journey, but you've also not only had your own experience, but you're very focused as well on trying to help other women achieve their best, accomplish their goals too, and really see the best of who they are in the process, right?
Yes. And I happened upon it like actually a lot of other women do, in that we're always trying to be better so we can take care of people. And what I've met are a lot of other caretakers that don't have any time for themselves. And I was one of those, not because I was a mom, but I was taking care of people in my own world. And I went to a trainer, and I think I gave myself the biggest gift when he asked me, "What is your goal?" And I looked at him, and I think he must have been expecting this weight loss goal. And I looked at him and I'm like, I don't even know. I just need to be healthy. And that stems from a whole bunch of things that had happened, like not being able to hike with friends because my body gave out, to being afraid to go paragliding in Peru when I was with my friends because I knew I exceeded the weight limit. And because I didn't put that pressure of myself on myself of a scale, it helped me find a habit that I fell in love with that made me feel strong, and then helped me lose 140 pounds at the end. So there's a lot more to it than that. But, 10 years into fitness being a part of my life every day, seeing people find that same strength and confidence never gets old.
And to continue that point, talking about the scale, sometimes the scale, we have a strange relationship with that. Sometimes if it doesn't move, then people get discouraged, and you're saying, you know what, this isn't working for me, I'm going to go back to the old thing. But sometimes there are changes that are happening within your body that the scale doesn't show, right, Shay?
Absolutely. You can hold stress, water weight, if you, things of that nature can bloat you. And so I always tell all my clients, do not watch the scale. That's the number one thing. If anything, take measurements. Measurements are the best thing to show your weight loss over time. So I say, take your measurements, or I can help you take your measurements and watch those inches come off, and definitely put the scale away. The scale will make you mad. It will. You'll have water weight one day, and that's not even, you feel bloated, and you're actually just fine. So
yeah, and sometimes, is it a good idea, bad idea? How often should you weigh in? Not every day, or once a week, or what's the rule of thumb there?
We're both shaking our heads. I literally honestly say I probably overall don't weigh myself besides at the doctor. I just don't worry about the scale at all. Your clothes, your inches, it will show. Or pictures. Pictures are a great journey. When I was going through weight loss 9 years ago and had gained for the first time weight, and it showed, I realized when I started the journey, if I took pictures weekly, after about 10, 15 days, you can see the change, whether it's in your face or your arms or your stomach. And then if you look back over 3 to 6 months, you'll see all your change. So I really, obviously I understand everyone has a scale in their house. It's just in my house, it never comes out. I really tell everyone, pictures or measure yourself.
And Dawn, what is your relationship with the scale, and what do you tell the folks you work with there?
I will say I go through seasons with a scale. And I think that people, you just have to really listen to where your mind is at. Because if you are in this place of you're going to live and die by that scale, then you're going to be disappointed and want to quit on that day where you're carrying water weight. And I know that Shay that's what she was talking about. And everyone agrees. So, if you're going to have that relationship with it, then work to normalize it and understand that it literally is just a number and doesn't measure you. But if you're really doing this and you want to lose weight, or as I say, change your body composition, change the way your body functions, and pick those goals instead of a weight loss goal, the rest of it's going to come with it. But to Shay's point, take measurements, take photos, take note of how your clothes feel, and just keep giving yourself the right nutrients and moving your body. It really is those little habits that make a big change, not staring at the scale every day.
And for you, Dawn, losing 140 pounds, that takes commitment. It takes a lot of time. Congratulations to you on that. Your journey, it landed you on People Magazine, Good Morning America, Women's World Magazine. But it all started with the decision that you wanted to prioritize you and your health in a different way, right?
I did. I come from a family where my mom and her entire family was diabetic. And so I looked and they had heart problems. And so I was looking at myself being frustrated by the things I couldn't do, the life I wanted to live that my body was impeding me from doing, and this fear of honestly dying young or having these health issues affect me when I could take steps to try and help them myself. And so it was that put me in that journey to, and I'm going to call it fitness is actually was my thing that pulled me in, but something different will pull everyone in. And for me, I didn't even know what to do. I mean, I think especially as women, we always hear diet, exercise. I had tried that 5,000 times. And it happened to be, I'm going to say, the right person, the right people around me, the right clients that I was working out with, and a reliance I found in a very healthy way on feeling strong for that 1 hour a day that helped me tackle everything else. And at the time, I happened to be going through something personal with my family, and that hour away from the hospital, not dealing with the stress, but that hour for me, it became my lifeline. And I think that in hindsight, that tragedy at the time worked to help me realize that exercise was less about my body and more about my mental health and health in general. And that's something I wish that we could help other people understand. Don't go into working out and exercise just to change your body. You're going to be on this horrible cycle of exhaustion and ups and downs. But if you go into fitness or exercise or movement, whatever that means to you, as a means to be your best self and strongest self every day, it's going to have far more greater of an impact, and you're not going to want to quit.
Absolutely.
So true. And Shay, what sort of launched your fitness, weight loss, healthy living journey?
Mine was definitely through healing. I needed to do some healing after a divorce. And I just wanted to make sure I was doing it the right way. And so the fitness nutrition that I always talk about was key, but also the mental piece that Don was talking about through counseling and really climbing through and combing through those times that you need to get that part together before you can even worry about the physical, because that's a lot of times what's weighing you down is the mental piece, your well-being.
And that's so true, because sometimes you could find yourself in a loop where, if you're not dealing with the mental piece of it and you try to exercise and lose weight, it's like the same sort of triggers, the same sort of emotional challenges will just cycle back around. And if you have that one day or that one moment that just sort of triggers you to go back into that negative thinking or go back into a place that isn't conducive to growth, then you just kind of cycle in and out. And then that progress feels even slower in some ways, you think?
Absolutely. The key thing, and as we see on social media right now, right, as a mother of a teenage daughter, you have to instill, confidence every day. And I have to live that. So it's a lifestyle change that you have to make. And all the, everything you can do on the outside, if the inside doesn't match, it's all going to be a chaos constantly. It's going to be a war that you're always trying to fix the outside, but the inside is what's really the problem. And so that, as I always say, healing from the inside out is key to everyone's journey, especially over this last couple of years with everything we've been through. People have struggled a lot with weight, being home, their mental capacity with, the COVID pandemic and the racial pandemic and who they were now coming out of this. And so I just hope people are taking time to understand it's okay to not be okay and to figure out who your authentic self is by that healing process.
So important, because over the last year or two, when we've been navigating this period, life just looks a lot different for a lot of people from maybe a year and a half ago. All the plans that people had for 2020, maybe plans they had for 2021. those plans in some cases were put on hold and you were forced to reevaluate relationships in your life. Maybe you're spending more time with people than you normally would. Maybe you're getting to know yourself in a different way because that isolation of being stuck at home doing things remotely, if you're more outgoing as a person, it might feel even more daunting to say, oh my gosh, like I'm just stuck in this place, these walls. How am I going to get through this? So people did, what is it, the pandemic pounds, whatever we're calling it now.
Pandemic 15, like the freshman 15.
There you go. And so so people are kind of navigating that, and now that, you know, some things are opening up more and we're trying to get back to whatever normalcy is, you know, it's like, wait a minute, my clothes don't fit. What is this? Who am I now? What is this person that's going to be reemerging here? And then how do I sort of, when I craft a healthier me, look not only at crafting a healthier physical me, but as you said, Shay, crafting the mental and emotional piece of it too. Dawn, what do you tell your clients as well? I know they've probably had some of these worries that we're talking about tonight. What have you told them in the way of encouragement to navigate this past year and you know, be generally being hard on yourself in some ways?
Right. So first of all, I start with me too, right? So I've gone through the same stuff and I feel it too. And in a lot of moments, I haven't felt like the person that I normally am. And the other thing is, you said we've been so hard on ourselves. Let's give ourselves some grace. If your clothes don't fit, you know what? Clothes aren't meant to fit you like that. Go buy the clothes that make you feel confident instead of staring at the things that make you feel uncomfortable and less than, because that's silly. So let's start with accepting ourselves and where we're at. And let's start with taking baby steps. We don't need to jump into only eating raw vegetables and chicken breasts and working out for 2 hours a day, because I don't know anyone who can sustain that. Instead, let's figure out what that balance is. And maybe it's just starting is taking 3 10-minute walks a day. Maybe it's drinking 100 ounces of water, just finding those little habits that get you going, that you can find success in, because you showing up and finding success in those little things will make you hungry for everything else.
And kind of piggybacking off of that, when you start, it's setting those small goals. You know, what is something you feel like you can realistically accomplish? Is it, even if maybe 3 small walks a day feels like too much, maybe you commit to, I'm going to go on 1 10-minute walk every day this week. But start where you are, use what you have, and build from there. Would you say, Shay?
Some days it's just sitting. Maybe you just need to sit and rest your mind for 5-10 minutes. I know meditation has come into my life over the last year and a half, and that's just 5-10 minutes of reading something positive or sitting with my own thoughts. Because obviously self-talk is what's going to come out. What we say to ourselves is, how we're going to end up feeling about ourselves. So I always say, if you can't get up and move, because some days the last 2 years has been hard for people, then just sit with your thoughts and understand that it's okay to not be okay that day, but realize that you will come out of this.
Yes, and sometimes people just need to know, and why I thought this platform was such a great way to do that. You're not alone. What you're going through, other people experience these things too, and weight loss is hard. It is tough. It's not easy for everyone, and that's okay. But it starts in some ways with making that decision, like, okay, I don't want to be where I am a year from now. What is something small and actionable I can do, be it meditation, as Shay mentioned, giving yourself that 5 minutes, or the 10-minute walk, as Dawn mentioned as well. Let's see, we have one comment here from Awesome. She says, yes. And if you all are watching, anyone watching, if anything that Shay or Dawn is saying or anything that we're talking about resonates with you, or if you have a question on this topic, or you're on a health and wellness journey and looking for some insight, certainly leave a comment and we'll try to pop those up on the screen here and get your questions answered and share your comments with everyone participating. I know, Shay, you had mentioned diabetes has been a big piece of the education component. Can you talk a little bit more about that and why that area is one where you found yourself to be most passionate?
Well, like Don was saying, diabetes runs in my family. I've seen my family members, my dad go through that, and for numerous reasons, for having Agent Orange, but also, eating incorrectly, sugary drinks. And not necessarily eating so bad, I should say, but definitely sugary drinks. And so I am very transparent on that. I was petrified to have to maybe have a limb taken or have medication to stay alive. So that was one of the key points when I did this transition almost 10 years ago, was how could I change the trajectory of my family history and make sure I teach my 2 children how to eat well, to be well, and carry that on from generation to generation. And with that, I also then realized that that was a calling and passion that I wanted to not just teach my family, but others in the community, because of the opportunities we have lacked with health disparities and food deserts, and how we can create a better access for them. And so that's where I became a diabetic coach.
And wonderful. And since making that choice to become a coach, what have you, I guess, how does it make you feel to see the people that you help, find success and they reduce their risk for diabetes? And, it's sort of like you get to help more people, not just helping yourself by getting healthy, but you're helping them too, to save their life and hopefully live a longer life as well. That's got to feel like very fulfilling work.
It is fulfilling work. And I realized it was my passion and calling when I did decide to take this leap into this work. It is, to help someone's A1C come down and realize that it was, weight loss and learning how to cook correctly, and then bring that into their family. Like you said, it's not just them, it's that now I run into clients and, now the whole family is working out and eating healthy, and they're telling me about it. And you see the change, because children actually right now have the highest diagnosis for diabetes. So as we see that red dye and everything, sugar and everything, fast food, if we can change, one person and they can carry that onto their family, then we definitely can help the whole world.
Wonderful. And I'm going to bring a question up here from Awesome again. And Dawn, I'll let you answer this one first, and Shay as well. What are some physical activities for people that have limited physical abilities, for example, back injuries and or arthritis?
I would say, one, if you have injuries like that, find a professional, because you want to make sure that you're doing things right, taking care of your body, and you're not exacerbating a problem, and instead you're strengthening your body. Now, that said, if walking is really hard for you, try and get on a bike. That bike is great. It can be a spin bike, it can be a recumbent bike, anything to try and start getting that cardiovascular working. And it doesn't have to be a lot, like back to that 3 10-minute walks or whatever. Find something that's just going to raise your heart rate just a little bit. But the big thing that I have seen in the gym, and I imagine Shay has seen this as well, don't be afraid of those weights. And this is also why you should hire a professional to learn how to do that correctly, because getting stronger, lifting weights, helps so many parts of your health. It's going to do all of these things that you think you're going to. Yes, you're going to build muscle. No, you're not going to get bulky. Let's set that one straight.
Right.
But you go back to even the arthritis piece. So I was in the doctor in February and have been dealing with a knee injury, which I thought was was acute, but it turns out it's a chronic condition. And I'm not surprised, because I had this issue when I was overweight too, and I don't have much cartilage left in there. I'm 46. I'm far too young for a knee replacement. But what the doctor did say is that the strength activities that I do every day are the things that are going to keep arthritis at bay, and they're going to keep any joint replacements at bay because it's keeping the rest of my body strong. So, dozens of people in the gym where I work out have arthritis. They have autoimmune situations, and lifting weights has actually completely turned their lives around. So I think that that's one thing that's really important. People are afraid of that. And if you don't have that in your budget to hire a professional all the time, hire someone that can show you what to do and give you some routines 1 or 2 times so that you can bring that home.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes. And Shay, would you like to add to that too?
For sure. So I see that she said back injuries or arthritis, as also being an arthritis coach. Sometimes, just sitting in your chair, movement from your chair is great. Resistant bands is wonderful. Also, to what Dawn is saying, as far as lifting weights, if you're not ready to lift weights, you can get your resistant bands and work those out. But if you have access to any type of pool, that is wonderful on your joints. It will get you moving. You can take water aerobics, and that will make you float and feel light as a butterfly. No pun intended there.
Yes. And let's see. Awesome asked one more question. I'm not sure if where you are watching from. Awesome, if you could tell us. She had asked about professional recommendations. I'm not sure if that's like types of.
I know her. She lives here.
Good. Oh, okay, perfect. Yeah.
So she says, any professional recommendations, like Don was saying, depends what you're ready for. If you need to start light, then walking is number 1. Number 2, well, I would say number 1 is stretching. Most people are stiff. They've been sitting too much. You need to stand up. You need to move around. So stretching, number 1. Number 2, walking. If then you're ready to advance to classes, I would suggest classes with an instructor. And then from there, if you can't afford one, a personal trainer. And you can inbox me if you want recommendations.
And Awesome added here. Great idea. Water exercises. Thank you so much. And everyone watching, if you have any questions or anything, just like Awesome, feel free to post those in the comments below, and we'll be able to share those with Shay and Dawn to get some of those answered for you here. Again, if you're just joining us, we're talking about crafting a healthier you, and doing that. It's not just about the physical, the scale, the exercise. It's the mental component too, because sometimes, deciding to lose weight, it starts with your mind. And so we're talking about health, wellness, their weight loss journeys, as well as some of the things that they're doing to help others start their journeys too. Awesome added one more comment here. Thanks, ladies. This is very helpful. Thank you, Awesome, for joining us today. I appreciate you. So I wanted to talk a little bit more about for you, Dawn, it's incredible that you lost 140 pounds, but to do that how long did that take you? It was a lot of work, I'm sure. Just what kind of commitment does that kind of goal take? And did you have those moments where you're like, I don't know if I can keep going? And did you have those people in your life that just kind of pushed you when you needed that the most?
I will say that I actually didn't know what my body was capable of. And I think that that's so true for almost everybody. So I didn't have a goal of losing 140 pounds. It actually just happened. But it happened because of consistency. And I think that one of the key things that people need to look for is community, because community makes a difference. When you're on a journey to be healthy, it's a really lonely road to go about on your own. There's so many mental games. There are so many moments when you feel alone because maybe you're trying to avoid certain foods, or you're trying to move more and don't just want to sit, and your lifestyle becomes different from maybe the people you're normally hanging out with. So finding a community, whether those are your neighbors, your good friends who want to do this with you, or finding a community elsewhere that's focused on helping you reach that goal, it's a huge deal. So for me, losing 140 pounds took about 14 months. That said, my weight has fluctuated quite a bit in this past 10 years, not substantially, but I think what's happened is my body composition has changed. And what I found for me is that when I was at my leanest was not when I was at my happiest. And for me, I wanted to be stronger, and success to me ended up being just being able to do the things I really want to do versus looking a certain way, because truthfully, that was really overrated is what I was learning, because I didn't feel strong. So finding a community that can help move you along, and also remembering that it's not just about the number on the scale. Being consistent is success. It's actually the most important marker of success. If you're consistent, you're going to see results, and it's going to come out of left field. You're not even going to know what results you're going to see. It's going to surprise you. You're going to go to the doctor. Your cholesterol will have dropped. All the numbers are going to be in order. They're going to ask you what you're doing to be healthy so they can share that with other patients. There was a moment when I went into my doctor's office and the door opened and there were 3 nurses standing in the door, and they're like, "We just need some health tips." I was like, this is actually really odd. You're the professionals. But there's some vulnerability that comes when you're sharing, and that also motivates you, right? So that community, everyone's going to have their on days, everyone's going to have their off days, but when you share that journey, that's also going to motivate you. And so whether that goal is 140 pounds, or I would encourage you to make that goal showing up for yourself every day. To Shay's point, whether that means meditating one day, taking a walk another, and using the resistance bands, or pro tip, look for the high schools and junior highs that have pools. They often have very inexpensive open swim times. So find that pool. And any of those things, but showing up for yourself every day can probably be the most powerful goal you can have.
I love that. And Shay, could you add as well?
I was going to say the same thing as far as showing up for yourself. That's the thing. Don't put a number on it. Put a goal of getting up, showing up, and doing the actual action. And that's what will be the results. And journaling. I was going to add that too. Journal your journey. Write down the good and the bad so you can see your growth along the way. I have every journal of that I started with 10 years ago.
Wow. And do you ever go back and look at those?
There's great notes in there. There's notes that I've implemented into my business years later, that there was an idea that I remembered, pop in your head about things that I needed, that I thought of then. And then I was like, I know I wrote that somewhere, and go back and there it is. Journaling. And people are like, oh, I know, like when we were younger, we did the diary, but journaling is just not just about the weight loss or health, but like where you're at that time. And it's great to see the growth or the ups and downs you may go through.
That's awesome. Because sometimes you have to remember where you're started to appreciate
Absolutely.
where you are, because even though you've made these amazing accomplishments and lifestyle changes, that doesn't mean that you don't have days where maybe you feel a little down, and you have to be reminded of, hey, like, this is how far I have come, and to remember to celebrate where you are in this moment and everything it took to get to now. Let's see, we've got Michelle Collins Wendell giving us a heart. Thank you, Michelle. And then Nashima Vaughn, thank you, ladies. Thank you both, Michelle and Nashima, for watching today. It's so true. And I think for folks,
I'm not sure I understand.
Oops, I'm not sure what that is. We got a little extra voice there. Okay. Technology. So what do you tell folks if they're in that space of, okay, we're coming out of this pandemic, my clothes don't fit, I'm just trying to figure out, like, where do I start? I know I want to get back on this health thing. I just got to do something. What's the first thing you tell them just to get back on track? Shay, you can go first.
Mine's pretty simple, because something that people can start with: drink water. And I'm so serious. Drinking water will help you feel better. And why I say start there, because most people don't drink water or don't drink enough. They think they do. But if you can replace some sugary drinks with water, you're going to see the energy you need just to get up and show up for yourself. So start with some water.
And how much water should we be drinking every day? And if we're not doing enough, I mean, work up to what?
Well, I personally drink about a gallon of water a day, but I would say start with, they always say your body weight, but I would personally say try and get a half a gallon a day.
Okay.
What do you think, Don?
I'm a big fan of a gallon a day also.
Yeah. So
and I have a little game that I play with myself, and that I have this water bottle right here that's next to my bed, not because I want to drink it at night when I'm sleeping, but because I'm not allowed to get up out of bed in the morning until I chug it. There's 17 ounces right there, and it's a really good, easy way to start my day.
right.
And so I have times of the day where I drink my water, and different things are good for different people. I like to chug it so that it doesn't all hit me ongoing, like trips running to the bathroom. I like to chug it all at once so that it's kind of a 1 or 2 and done. But I'm a big fan of 100 to 128 ounces. Yeah.
So how do you all feel about those little packets? Like, people like to add the Crystal Light packets or the flavor. Does that matter, or does that impact anything? Or is it as long as you're drinking water, or you should get rid of those?
No, I think those are fine. Some people like me, I don't like anything in my water, but you could put fruit, blueberries, strawberries, kiwi, whatever, goes at what you like. But no, that's cucumber. No, those are fine. People need some flavor sometimes to get that half a gallon down. And I get it. People think it's boring. They need some pizzazz. So if you need that pizzazz, go for it. Just watch the sugar intake on it. And if you're not sure, always read the back. It's going to tell you every time.
All right. Nashima says they're okay, but we need plain water too.
Right, Nashima. Go, Nashima. Absolutely. I'm all for plain water. Water is good.
Yes. And we just need to drink more of it.
We need to drink more of it. A lot of times people think they're hungry and you're thirsty. And you look at your hands sometimes, you'll be able to see, if they're dry. That usually means you need water. Your face, your skin will tell you. It will help with being bloated, but it really is the little things like that to get started on your journey. Like, what are you drinking? What are you putting in your body? And journal your water, big time. Journal your water, because that will help you. If you need to do a time from the time you start to maybe 2-3 hours before you go to bed, so you're not waking up in the middle of the night, to how to track your water to get you started.
And Michelle is saying lemon water.
Yes. Lemon, yep. Lemon water is great.
As far as adding lemon, does that help at all with like your appetite at all, or what are are there any like tricks or benefits to adding certain fruits or vegetables than others?
I think that there's always going to be a ton of data out there. They're going to say some things are good and some things are bad. Ultimately, you drinking that water is going to help it's going to help hydrate you and help you discern between hunger and thirst. So, I mean, if lemon water works for you, cool. Let's not count on any side effects. Let's just count on the effects of the water, which is going to be far more beneficial than anything that you might add to it.
And Claudette just added here, there are some apps as well. If you don't want to keep an actual written journal, they've got apps for everything now. So there are apps to track water intake. That's good to know. So there are ways to keep yourself on track right in the palm of your hand. If you don't want to log it in a notebook. Thank you so much for sharing that too, Claudette. I will go ahead and add as well. We've got about 20 minutes left. And if you are watching us, just as we've had Michelle, Nashima, awesome, Claudette chime in. If you have any questions or comments, if anything that we're talking about is resonating with you, if you're someone who is going through the pandemic challenges with weight, feel free to chime in if you're looking for a little bit of encouragement on your journey to jump back in or get started, or have found some success that you want to share with others. Definitely share that information in the comments, and we'll be able to pop those comments up on the screen. Shay, if you could add, what has the experience of teaching others taught you about yourself, you feel?
Enjoy the process. Enjoy the process. Forgive yourself and be kind to yourself. How you speak to yourself really takes a toll on you. If you speak negative, then that's what's going to come out. Positive energy creates positive vibes. So as I always say at the end of a workout, inhale the positive, exhale the negative. It's very easy to dwell in the negative. So I make sure that when I'm teaching others that I'm also living by that. We all have bad days, and you have to give yourself grace for where you're at that moment, but understand the journey and enjoy that process. There's always going to be highs and lows, but really celebrate yourself, the little celebrations, whether it's a pound, whether it's you drank a gallon of water, celebrate yourself. And enjoy that process. I've loved teaching people that.
Wonderful. And Michelle Collins-Windle shares true. And for you, Dawn, the journey here, I want to share some of the pictures that you sent me and kind of tell us, because we've talked about, the incredible goal that you accomplished, but what you accomplished, that's not where you started. And I'll share some of those pictures. And if you could kind of tell us while we're looking at them, kind of where you were at that time in your life, what you were feeling, and like what brought you to that space of saying, I want something different for myself. Here's the picture that you sent me. And then talk a little bit about that time in your life. If you feel comfortable with that, how old were you then? What was going on in life at that point?
At this time, I was in my early 30s. I had just left my corporate job, interestingly, because I wanted to try and take hold of my health. But I got caught up in the busyness of life and bringing on clients and work, just like a lot of people do. This picture was taken during a trip when we were camping, and we had gone hiking, and I was a good 40 minutes behind the rest of my friends, and I was bawling, and I didn't want to finish, and I couldn't. And my husband, God bless him, he was right there with me, beside me, and I was embarrassed to wear the swimsuit, which you see right there, and it was covered up by the cover up. And of course, my friends at the time had joked that I had made a weapon out of my ice cream cone. For the record, I still do that with my ice cream cones. But this picture was actually one that I looked at, and I was like, I don't want to feel this way anymore. It wasn't as much about the way my body looked, although I was not happy with that either, but I realized that was one of about 500 other things that were affecting me at the time. And I think that not being able to do what I wanted to do with the people I loved, it just was killing me.
Mm-hmm. And when was this taken?
That was in 2018. My husband and I were hiking, and we were out, I think that was out in that was actually in Death Valley. So we were hiking out there a little bit, and I love hiking, and I hadn't been able to do it. And this photo was powerful to me because I felt healthy, I felt strong, and I was doing something that I loved with people I love.
Did you find yourself feeling emotional at all during your journey when you looked back on where you started and then where you are? I mean, did it make you tear up at all?
This journey makes me tear up pretty regularly. And I would say, because what you realize when you start to embrace health is that the journey actually never ends. There's not an ending point. It's about always creating this fulfilling life, that the goals are going to change. And if anybody thinks this is going to be a straight trajectory, that's what's going to make you want to quit, because it's going to be this weaving path of ups and downs. And so it's really got to be more about who you are and what you're able to do with the time you have than it is about a pursuit of something that is not going to last forever. So that health and living big, that's where I land on that.
Wonderful. And if you all could individually leave listeners with a word of encouragement, motivation, as they either embark on or continue on or contemplate starting a journey, what would you want them to know? Shay, I'll start with you.
Okay. As I always say, forgive yourself and others during your journey. Let go of the negative, inhale the positive, and be kind to yourself and others. Everyone is struggling right now in different ways. And if we can just come together, you will be well, and that energy will spread into the world.
That's awesome. And Dawn, what would you want people to leave with?
I agree with Shay on that first point, is like, give yourself some grace. We're all human. We all have ups and downs. We all have good days and we all have bad days, and we deal with that differently. So build in that grace for yourself, not using it as a crutch, but using it as a, okay, you know what? I don't have to wait until Monday to start again. I can start over the next hour, or I can start over tomorrow morning. So give yourself some grace. And I think the other thing is pick goals that you can control. You can show up every day for yourself. That's a goal that you can control. You can't control that number on the scale. And finally, don't wait for the motivation. Don't search for the motivation. The motivation that's going to be the most powerful is what happens after you show up. So the motivation is in the doing. It's not in the waiting for the motivation to shine down and show up. The motivation is in the doing. And at the end of the day, this shouldn't be a chore or a task. Now, I'm not going to lie. Some days it might feel that way, but it shouldn't every day. This should be something that you're like, you know what? No, I need to go in for my workout because I'm going to leave feeling better. Absolutely. So don't wait for that motivation to shine down. You create it.
And a big part of this is really finding your why. Like, why is it important to me to lose weight? It's not just a scale. Maybe it's, I don't want, my family history may be one thing, but I don't want to become victim to that history. Or, just because, my family may say, oh, we're just big, or, oh, we're just this is just what we are. There are things that you can do to create a healthier experience for yourself just by the choices that you make every day. And it's okay to ask for help, right?
Absolutely. Ask for help. Talk to others, join groups. Like you said, if you're taking a walk, ask a friend. Always keep talking. If we talk to each other and communicate, it helps a lot. Don't hold everything in.
And I want to, before we go, I know, Shay, you've helped over 150 women through your coaching who are pre-diabetic, overweight. You now do fitness classes, meal prep courses, and you have a Black-owned farmers market, the Camden Market. Talk a little bit about that, if you could, and how you've been able to connect people to healthy food options. If that's not something that they're used to, you're making it available for people.
Yes, so I started Meal Prep with a Twist about 5 years ago. So I was doing 20 minutes of fitness, and then afterwards we'd make a healthy meal together. And then that way I figured I could teach people how not to then go get a cheeseburger or pizza after a good workout. And it worked. And so I started doing that. And then I implemented into the farmers market, the Camden Farmers Market, and invited different chefs to come in. So still doing a workout, but then having them come in and teach how to use healthy foods in a way that, that can taste good. And it really has helped with dealing with some of the food deserts over in North Minneapolis, teaching people how to eat on a budget, which is key, how to take $20 and make that dollar stretch. The key component to your weight loss, if that's what you're focused on at the moment, is your nutrition. You cannot out-train a diet. And I say that again, you cannot out-train a diet. So for us to teach others how to eat well is key. It is key.
And I'm curious, when you talk about that $20, people may think, oh, I did this great workout. Let me reward myself with something that's really unhealthy. Are they surprised when you show them, like, this is what you can do with your $20 that's an alternative to those unhealthy things you were thinking about going for?
Yes, as we all know, fast food is cheap, right? It's cheap on the front end and very expensive in more ways than one on the back end, whether it's with health or when you start adding it up. But if you can take $20, go to the grocery store and teach people how to, whether it's chicken or fish, or if you're vegan or vegetarian, whatever it is, how to take that dollar, make multiple meals out of it so that your family can eat healthy. People are surprised. They're like, oh, and just how to and what to eat, how to make vegetables taste good. I think most times people are like, oh, I didn't like this vegetable growing up because someone didn't know how to make it properly. But if you know the right ingredients, know how to season food with, seasonings, not just with salt, try and pull some of that salt out, use more like a Himalayan salt, as I always teach people, using pepper and garlic, things of that nature. If you need a little spice, a little cayenne, none of that is bad for you. That's not going to increase your high blood pressure. It's not going to increase diabetes, and it's not going to increase any weight. It's going to actually help your food taste better and help your family eat healthier.
I love that. I feel like that's a whole other conversation that we should
It
have
is.
for sure.
Food is.
Yes, I love that. Michelle says, I'm on 4 months, no meat.
Good
Awesome.
job.
Thank you for sharing that, Michelle. And good luck on your journey too.
Yes.
Dawn, tell me as well with your clients, where do you focus with them? What is when they come to you, what do you hope that they take away from their experience with you and their ultimate goal that you're hoping to see them achieve while they're with you? What would that be?
I think the goal with us is really it's just those healthy habits. And to be truthful, when people come in and they have a weight loss goal, our preference is that let's change that. Let's change that goal into something we can control. The diet, as Shay mentioned, is so important, and it's not even just weight loss; it's
Right.
weight gain. It's changing some metrics or some numbers that you've got going on in your system. It's all of these things like that. The nutrition is such an important piece of it, and to Shay's point, good food does not have to taste bad.
Right.
I love cooking. That was a non-negotiable for me. I'm like, I am not eating tuna out of the packet every day. I'm not doing it. And
Absolutely not.
I just can't. Right. So I love cooking and I don't take that for granted. But the second you start using whole foods and real ingredients, it can taste really indulgent and it's so good. And so I just encourage, I just want you to find this balance in real life, right? So if we go on a journey for health that is so far over here that we can't sustain it, you're going to overcorrect in the other way and it's going to be worse. So let's find a way that you can move forward, embracing your health in a way that you can live this every day of your life, in a way that you want this every day of your life.
I love that. Thank you both so much for joining us today. If anyone has any other comments, we've got about 7 minutes left to go. In the meantime, I want to share with everyone some of the topics that are coming up here for Let's Chat. It's pretty much every Friday, 6:30 Central Time. And we've got some dynamic folks here in the Twin Cities, some beyond, that are going to be joining us to talk about a variety of topics. We've got Embracing the Journey Authenticity will be coming up on October the 15th, next Friday. We'll be joined by Shelby Wagner, myself, Carly Carey, Megs Pulvermacher, and Zakia Robbins McNeil. And really, when we talk about the journey to authenticity, it's a journey that's different for everyone, but there are lessons that we learn along the way that can be beneficial to those around us and hopefully push us all forward by sharing that our individual experiences in that conversation. On October 29th, we'll be talking about changing careers, feeling the fear, doing it anyway, with Hillary Klein, Don Johnson, Fabiana Peterson, and Tamika E. Jones. The last year and a half, some people have found themselves launching into new careers, maybe the careers that they're in, they're not growing in the way that they'd hoped, and they're really exploring new options. So we'll have a conversation about that. Maybe beyond the pandemic, people have found themselves in positions of change and transition. So we want to share some of those journeys and hopefully offer some tips and information for others who may be, trying to decide if a career change is right for them. What are some of the steps you can use to start small? And on November 5th, Life After Pregnancy, I have no kids, but I'm going to be talking to a lot of folks who do. And they're going to be sharing their journeys and experiences, talking about everything from hair loss to some of the body changes, and finding that courage to show up and share who you are when maybe you feel different. Maybe life adapting to having a child has been more tricky and challenging than you expected. And so creating space to have support and hear from other women that have been on that journey, and know that you're not alone. We'll have Heather Brown, who is on the morning show with us on WCCO. She'll be joining to share her journey and experience. Jessica Horton as well, Liz Kruger, and Chantel Williams, natural hair therapist. So she'll be joining us as well. A lot of conversations coming up through the end of the year. And my goal, as I've shared before, is to meet 100 Minnesotans through the series. So I'm inching my way towards 50, but one conversation at a time. And I love these conversations because they're ones that we don't really get to have on the news. But it kind of gives me a chance as a new person here, learning Minneapolis in a pandemic, learning the Twin Cities in a pandemic, a chance to meet some of the dynamic folks that I call y'all my neighbors, but the neighbors that make this place so special. So I am so appreciative of you all and helping me get to my goal of 100, but just sharing your experiences, your journeys, your stories, and hopefully in the process, we are able to push someone else forward watching, and whatever their journey might be in regards to crafting a healthier life. We've got one comment here. Let's see, Claudette, before we go. She says, I've been taking my daughter to various farmers markets to see and try new vegetables and fruits and lifestyle choices so my daughter can learn to open her eyes to help her diabetes. That's awesome,
That's
Claudette.
wonderful. Good job.
Yes.
We've had a lot of clients who've come in and they get their children involved in the making meals and working out with them. And it's so beautiful to see those healthy habits start young.
Kudos to you, Claudette. That's awesome. Thank you for sharing that. Hopefully you'll make it by Camden Market.
Yes.
Yes, on your list. And then Michelle, awesome idea. I think that was on the Meeting 100 Minnesotans through the series. Yes. All right. Thank you all so much for joining us tonight for Let's Chat. Hopefully, Shay, thank you for joining me. Dawn, thank you for joining me.
Thank you.
Yes. And if you all can stick around for just a second, I'll wrap up the broadcast and I'll catch you behind stage here.
Okay.
Have a great
Thank
night,
you.
everyone.
Have a good night.